Hello and welcome to this edition of my Lotus Rising songbook guitar tutorial series. And today we're going to be looking at Astral Crown, which is number 20 from the Lotus Rising songbook. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I received this song. I was in Assisi, beautiful Italian town, and I was visiting the caves and the woodlands, the forests where Saint Francis of Assisi used to spend his time in that area when I received this song basically one beautiful evening. And I have heard from several people over the years that this is their favourite song out of the Lotus Rising songbook. You may be one of those people. So now is the time I'm going to show you how I play it on the guitar. It's actually a very simple song. When I came to just sort of prepare myself to make this video, I realised something about this song which is to do with the pitch, or the sort of relative level of how high or low the song is, which is that I associate this song with quite a high range of the voice, and it's an E minor. The nice thing about the E minor chord is that you get this low open E, which always gives a particular flavour to any songs that have an E minor chord, especially if it's the kind of home key of the song. And when sung in this key of E minor, the melody is actually quite high for the voice. It goes like this. Sacred flame, astral crown, radiating all around. Celestial light, heavens above, deep, deep night, archangel love, radiating, always love. So it's that place where it jumps up on the G chord, celestial light. That's quite, you have to really project to sing that kind of in that range. If you sing very soft, celestial light, becomes a little bit sort of, doesn't really carry the energy of the song, which is very much a kind of like outward, radiant kind of feeling, expansive. And so you have to really kind of go for it with that celestial light. It's a bit high for my voice, and so when we're in ceremony, when we're in song circle, when we're in these kind of settings with a group of people singing, and sometimes other instruments as well, and there's a certain kind of energy in the group, it helps for the voice to naturally just kind of open in that register. But sitting here cold, making this video, it's clear to me that that's quite a stretch. So what I experimented and what I found is that just going down one tone from E to D actually helps a lot. Now when we go down from E to D, we don't have the option of putting a capo on to go down. Putting the capo on a string allows it to go higher, and the further we put the capo on the frets, the higher the song gets, or the higher the chords become. But we can't simply go down a notch like that. We have to use a different set of chords to playing D minor. So I'm going to show you the song now in D minor, and then I'm going to show it to you in E minor. And then you have the choice. Myself, I've never played it before this evening in D minor. I've always played it in E minor, but I do think it's useful in this case to give you that option of the lower key. So I'm not going to expect you to remember all these chords just by watching the video. I'm going to write them in the description of the film down below, so you'll be able to see both sets of chords there. But I'm going to start by showing you a song in D minor. So you'll need these chords, D minor. And the second chord is a B flat major, which is played with the bar chord like this, which is an A major shape. This is an A major chord that I'm sure everybody's familiar with. And if you put this finger as a bar, and then it's basically A major, one semitone, that gives you a B flat. Now there is a simpler version of this chord, because I know some people are not familiar or accustomed yet to using the bar chords. So there is a simpler way of playing B flat, which is like this. And then you'd put this first finger on the first fret there, and then these two sit here on the next two strings down on the third fret. And then obviously you don't play all the way across the 6 strings, because that's going to sound horrible. You start with the D. And that gives you a version of B flat. Obviously B flat's not in the bass, it's got a D note as the bass note. So strictly speaking, it's a first inversion of a B flat chord. But you don't need to worry about that, just play that shape, and that'll give you the B flat sound. If you want to have the B flat in the bass, then you need to use the bar, because that gives you this note on the 5th string. And these 3 fingers go there. Where are we? Yeah. So when I play the song through now, I'm going to sometimes use the B flat in that position, and sometimes use it in this position, so you can see how it fits in the context of the sequence of chords. So the first chord is D minor, and then B flat, then C, and back to D minor. And that's the first line. There's only 2 lines to the song that repeat. So the first line is D minor, B flat, C, and back to D minor. And then the second half of the song, or the second line if you like, starts with an F chord, and then goes to G minor, and then C, and back to D minor. Back to B flat and C and D minor. So that sequence, B flat, C, D minor, occurs in the first line, or the first sequence of chords, or the first verse, however you like to describe it. And the second half, the second line, also finishes with that same sequence, B flat, C, D. Now when it comes to the F chord and the G minor chord, you'll see that I also played those with the bar for the F and G minor. But there are also simple versions of those chords. The F chord can be played like this, and the G minor can be played. So obviously you can watch this video and you can just play this part backwards and forwards until you've picked these chords up if they're unfamiliar to you. But the F chord is basically this first finger has to cover the 2 strings, the first and second string like that. And then this finger goes on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, and this finger goes there on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. And again, we don't go all the way across the strings, just the first, 2nd, 3rd and 4th string. And the full version of F major is like this, which is a classic sort of bar chord, usual way of playing F major. Now G minor, played like this as a bar chord. Just got these 2 fingers here, and the rest of the chord is played with this bar. And the simple way of playing G minor is just to use this finger or any finger you like on just those 2 strings, and then again you can only play over the 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's just a very simple way of getting the kind of G minor sound, although it's not a full G minor chord like this one. So that sequence, D minor, F, G minor, and then C, D minor, can be played in the simple way like this: D minor, F, then G minor, and C, and then D minor. But you're going to get a much richer sound if you can manage the bar chords from D minor to F, G minor, and then C. So that's basically it. Then E flat, C, D minor to complete the sequence. So let's have a look how those chords fit together with the words to the song. And I'm just doing a very simple strumming rhythm. The way that I like to strum in general is, rather than keeping these fingers fixed in place, if I do a gentle strumming rhythm like this, and then I just lift these fingers up sometimes and put them back down again, it helps to give a bit of movement to the parts like this. This is what it sounds like with the fingers not moving. Now if I lift my fingers up a little, it just gives a little bit of movement like that inside the chord, and it allows you to keep strumming with a little bit of sort of, it just makes it that little bit more sort of fluid and interesting in a way. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Sacred flame, astral crown, radiating all around. Sacred flame, astral crown, radiating all around. Celestial light, heavens above, in the deep, deep night, archangel love, radiating, always love. Celestial light, heavens above, in the deep, deep night, archangel love, radiating, always love. Amazing grace, Mother Divine. Okay, so that gives you an idea how the chords fit with the words. I'll sing the song all the way through towards the end of the video, but for now I just want to kind of take you through the different sections of this tutorial. So you probably noticed there, as each line, each half of the song repeats twice, so I took the opportunity to play the full bar chord versions of the chords the first time through, and then the simple versions that I showed you on the second time. So I'm going to show you now the same chord sequence, but up one tone in the original key of E minor. So we start on E minor, and we go to C, and then D, and then back to E minor. The nice thing about that sequence, I'm sure you will have noticed immediately, is there's no bar chords. All nice, simple open chords. E minor, C, D, and back to E minor. In the second half of the song, we start on G, then we go to A minor, and then we go to D, and back to E minor. Then C, D, E minor. So as with a lot of these songs, there's kind of like it's a payoff between, do you want to have the song in a lower key so it's a bit easier for the voice? Not just for yourself as the guitar player, but for other people who might be singing with you. In which case, you're going to have to play the D minor sequence with the bar chords. But if you don't mind the song being a little bit at the top end of the range for the voice, and you can encourage the other people to sing in that range, then the E minor chord sequence is actually nicer to play and it kind of sounds better because it's got that lovely E minor, C, D sequence on the open strings. So that's my preference anyway. I'm going to show you how that works with the words. Sacred flame, astral crown, radiated all around. Sacred flame, astral crown, radiated all around. Celestial light, heavens above, deep, deep night, archangel love, radiated, always love. Celestial light, heavens above, deep, deep night, archangel love, radiated, always love. So there you have it. There's the D minor version and the E minor version. So before I sing the song all the way through, I'm going to just talk about something else which I mentioned briefly earlier in the video, and that is to do with this this style of playing chords where you hold down a particular chord position, in this case E minor, and then you can pluck or strum across the strings. By strumming I mean just lightly moving across all the strings together. So that's what I would call strumming. And you can strum all the 2, 3. You can do a kind of downbeat on every beat. It's the simplest thing. But then you add a few upbeats where this hand goes up as well as being able to go down. Now if you just do downbeats by themselves, it's a bit boring. It sounds a bit kind of leaden, like a kind of funeral march or something. And if you just do upbeats, then you get a very syncopated feel. And that can get, you can get into a lot of rhythms when you start to use this hand to stop the strings and doing offbeats and downbeats, upbeats and all the rest of it. So there's a whole world that can be explored in how you play rhythm guitar. Is that style of playing. It's called rhythm guitar, and it's a combination of chord positions and strumming rhythms and combination of stopping the strings. And so I'm keeping it really simple. We're not going very far down that road. What I'm going to show you is just a way of combining a few simple downstrokes with upstrokes to give you a simple lilting rhythm like this. So I'm going down, down, and then I go down a couple of times and up here and there. So I'm not exactly doing the same pattern each time. So if you go down, up every time, it sounds like this. Which notes. So you just have to have a bit of space, bit of a you can just practice just with a simple chord like E minor or A minor. You can just practice rhythms. But having that upbeat at a certain place in the bar and then repeating that as a pattern gives you a nice sort of lilting feeling. And then, second part of this is, instead of, as I mentioned before, instead of keeping these fingers down all the time, then if you watch here, you'll see that my fingers are basically holding the D major chord position. These two fingers come up and down together. Then with C, so I had developed my own sort of simple patterns of just keeping these chords alive, really. So when I play E minor, this finger sometimes comes up and down. When I was doing the strumming pattern before, I was kind of emphasizing to make it clear, but actually it's something much lighter than that, really, in practice. And combined with a little bit of strumming, where plucking, or picking, where just picking out certain notes, but more or less in random. I'm not playing to any predefined pattern, just picking out a few notes. The only thing that's constant is the lowest note, which is the bass note or the tonic note or the root note of the chord, is usually on the first beat, and that just helps to kind of anchor it and give it a kind of really clear progression to the chord sequence. So once I'm singing and everyone else is singing, then the spotlight is away from the guitar. And one of two things can happen. The first is that you may just completely forget what you're doing on the guitar and just let the guitar take care of itself, keep it nice and simple, and all the attention is on the voice. The other thing that can happen is once other people are singing along and the song has its own momentum, then it gives you an opportunity to look more closely at what you're doing on the guitar and try a few things out. As I've mentioned on these videos in other places, the point about this is not to be a guitar soloist and to be able to kind of demonstrate tremendous skills. It's more looking at how the guitarist has a kind of role to play in accompanying people in a group. And how the guitar supports the voice and provides a rhythm and a reference for the voices to find the right pitch and follow the right melody. So as the guitarist, myself, when I'm playing in ceremonies, I find that there's certain times when it's really important that I focus very much on the guitar part and getting the chords and the melody and the rhythm in the right place. Other times, the song seems to take care of itself and my guitar part is a little more free and I can try some different things out. And that also is dependent upon whether there's a percussionist, whether there's one or more guitarists, or if you're the only musician there. So, bearing all these things in mind, we're looking at a kind of like this, which combines a little bit of gentle strumming, a little bit of gentle picking, that's the style that just keeps on throughout the song. Okay, so I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover with regard to this song. So I'm happy that I had the chance to show you the D minor chord sequence, so you have that option. But when I sing the song through now, I'm going to sing it in E minor because that's the key that I'm most familiar with, and it's the key that I associate the song with. Most of these songs, although they have 2 or 3 alternate keys, which is useful to be familiar with, they kind of have one key that really is like the kind of home key for the song. There's something about kind of color, really, I suppose. Because if you're like me, you will see chords and colors and different sounds of instruments. You will see these sounds in colors. And so when you change key, you're not just lowering the pitch in a functional way, the whole color of the song changes. And maybe I'll do a separate video where I talk about the colors of the different chords that I perceive. But anyway, this song has for me a certain color. It's a kind of E minor for me is a kind of metallic bronze, a sort of shimmering color, and the color of this song I feel is sort of like iridescent. If you think of it, sort of shimmering colors that has little elements of pink and purple and turquoise and blue and green with the basic sort of bronze or silver shimmering essence. I never really talked about this or thought about this in a really clear way before, but it's very much the case for me that I see sounds in color. Every number and every letter has a color for me. And when it comes to guitar chords or chords on the piano, it's the same thing. So for now, let's get back to this song, and I'm going to sing it all the way through. I'll count you in if you want to play with me.
Sacred flame, astral crown, radiating all around. Sacred flame, astral crown, radiating all around. Celestial light, heavens above, in the deep, deep night, archangel love, radiating, always love. Celestial light, heavens above, in the deep, deep night,
for those of you that are still watching, as a little coda to this video, I'm just going to mention one other thing, which is to do with the end of the song, the last 3 lines, which I find that I usually kind of slow down. Not exactly slow down, because if there's maracas and drums and things playing along, you can't really slow down as such, but just make a bit of space in the texture of the guitar playing for the last 3 lines. And I'll just show you what I mean rather than trying to explain.
Always shining under night, made of God.
So it's not actually slowing down, because if you were counting the beat there, always shining under night, made of God. So the beat doesn't slow down or change, but it's the difference between going always shining under night. It just makes a bit of space in those phrases. Then when the last line comes, made of God, that has this sort of slightly epic quality in a way, the way it wraps everything up. Because you've had all this imagery about celestial light and the heavens and the archangels and the sacred flames and the astral crowns and all the love and the radiance and the rainbow communions, and it's just all kind of shimmering and exploding with these kind of images. And then at the end, you get this kind of like a pregnant pause, and then made of God, which is a little bit theological, but I think the intention is understood. It's something full of gratitude and awe and celebration. So that last section would go like this. The last few lines from Perfect Union.
Perfect union under the stars, rainbow communion of astral hearts, always shining under night, made of God. Perfect union under the stars, rainbow communion of astral hearts, always shining under night, made of God.
So if you have any questions about this tutorial or about any of my other videos, then you can leave me a comment here, and I'll be very happy to respond to you. This video is part of a series that I'm creating, showing the guitar parts and just giving some sort of insights and tips as to how I play these songs on the guitar. And once again, to say I'm not really attempting to style myself as a guitar teacher here. It's much more a kind of introduction into how the guitar can be used to accompany songs in medicine ceremonies. And when I say medicine ceremonies, I'm including any kind of song circle where people are coming together to sing music in a healing context. It can be devotional songs, healing songs, bhajans, songs from medicine circles. But the intention is just to lift the voices, open the heart, and have a way of connecting in simple communion through singing. And the guitar player in these song circles has a special function, not to be the most amazing guitar player, but simply to be someone who can hold down the chords and understand a little bit about how the guitar is helping the song to kind of hang together, articulating the melody sometimes, the rhythm sometimes, the chord sequence. And I hope that this video and all the other ones in this series are helpful to you in that respect. So thanks once again for watching, especially if you've made it all the way to the end. And don't forget, you can subscribe to my channel by just clicking in the usual place. And I'm very happy to continue to share my music with you in this way. Thank you.
Secret flame, astral crown, radiating all around. Secret flame, astral crown, radiating all around. Celestial light, heavens above, in the deep, deep night, archangel love, radiating, always love. Celestial light, heavens above, in the deep, deep night, archangel love, radiating, always love. Amazing grace, Mother Divine, open our hearts, radiant and kind. Amazing grace, Mother Divine, open our hearts, radiant and kind. Perfect union under the stars, rainbow communion of astral hearts, always shining, undeniable, made of God. Perfect union